Hi guys, Nevin Cooper-Keel JD here today. And this video I am going to tell you why I switched from Android, which I'd used for many years, to iPhone. And I did this for business reasons. It was a purely business decision. I was perfectly happy with my Android. But I started noticing with my business calls, because I use a VoIP system for business, which has such immense benefits, and I'm going to do another video on how valuable that's been. But I started noticing like these missed calls through the service I use for my business lines. I'm like, how is this possible? I'm sitting here right with my cell phone in my hand, and this didn't ring. Why isn't this ringing? And after a long process of trying to ascertain, okay, what's going on? That might have been the $1 million call. I do not like missing phone calls. So eventually, I came to figure out that the Android operating system cannot override a cellular call with a data call. So I might be taking cellular calls on my personal cell phone line from, family or friends or whatever. But I definitely, if one of my business lines calls through, which will come in over data as a data call, I want to see that. I want to have an opportunity to answer that. And I wasn't getting it. And I eventually I figured out, okay, this is why I'm seeing all these missed calls in here that never rang through. It's because I was using an Android phone, and those cannot override a cellular call. So I must have been on the phone with my mom. It's Mother's Day today, by the way. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Must have been on the phone with somebody anyway. And when my potential clients called. And so that is why I switched to iPhone. And it really took me about a day. And I'm like, you know what? iPhone, besides this business decision, iPhone is great. I love iPhone. I still have my iPhone 7. I really like it. I like the fingerprint option. I don't want to have the facial one. I know with the newer one, there's other good features, but I really don't like that one. And I just feel like I'm continuing to just get great value out of my iPhone 7. It works for everything I need at this point in time, other than I'm using a webcam instead of a maybe iPhone 10 or whatever. But that's okay. But that is why I switched from Android to Apple. It was a purely business decision, and the only reason is because all my business calls I had set up as data calls, and they cannot override a cellular call on an Android system. And the iPhone operating system, on the other hand, can override a cellular call with a data call, and I've never missed a call for that reason since then. And you might think to yourself, like, well, I love my Android. And I'm not advertising for Apple. I should probably try to line that up and sell iPhones, but I do sell VoIP systems. And the reason I was willing to go through that learning curve of switching to iPhone, which was really not steep. I mean, a cell phone's a cell phone. It's not rocket science. It's not like going from, Windows to a Mac computer. That I still have not done. I have no interest in doing that. And unless a compelling business reason comes up to do that, I will not be switching, because I know Windows inside and out. But it really, after a day of using an iPhone, I was fluid with it. It's great. And I like it better than Android, not just because of, I make more money with an iPhone. Ultimately is what it came down to. I make more money. If I land one deal a month, just one deal a month that I otherwise would have missed because I was on an Android and I couldn't get that call, it pays for, the iPhone, the Switch in 1 month. Now, this was a few years ago for me, so it's paid for itself many, many times over. But that's the reason right there. And I think that's a great reason. And you might say to yourself, okay, so you might say, well, I really like my Android. I don't want to switch. Screw setting up a VoIP system. Screw data calls. I'll find some other way to do it where I don't miss business calls and I get to keep my Android. Well, part of how I have developed growth in my businesses is the power of VoIP phone systems compared to more traditional, just your cell phone. What you want to run 10 businesses, and I do. I run a whole bunch of businesses off of my one cell phone. This is the only phone I carry. And what I mean to say is, if you want to have 10 businesses, you don't want to have to buy 10 different cell phones, right? You don't want to use your one cell phone number for all 10 businesses. You want different phone numbers for each business. You want to have some kind of segmentation to where these are their own distinct entities in some way, shape, or form. And a phone line is a great way to do it. And yet you can still run all 10 of those businesses through the same one cell phone, through the same app. And that's really kind of what makes it feasible to bring that many different moving parts of different businesses together all in one, and in the most efficiently and easily organizable way is through this VoIP system. A buddy of mine, and I'm working on setting him up, he just told me, he just switched his old cell phone number to his business line and got himself a new one, so they're not all ringing to the same thing. I'm like, dude, I got you covered. There's way better ways to do it, and you can do it all off of one. But yeah, to do it all off of one, you're going to need some kind of VoIP data system, not a, what was and what still is available with an Android. You just don't have the capabilities. And not only do you have more capabilities, you can do more things that make you money, it's a lot of times cheaper to have a VoIP system on your phone than another. And I'll show you the one I use, and the one I recommend the best is Vonage Business. I love it. I'm able to route multiple businesses all through Vonage Business. Each one has a different number. When one gets called, it tells me which one it is. Like, hey, right now I'm going to dial my bail bonds agency. I'll show you how it rings in. So I'm dialing from my cell phone. This is what it looks like when somebody calls me, though. And it'll show the number, and it'll show which business. I have it programmed to say bail bonds when somebody calls my bail bond agency phone number. Okay, so let's see, what's another one? 1, 2, 3, 9. So okay, I have another business. It's going to show up as tours on here. Rings in through the same app, same Vonage Business app. I pay about, I think, less than $10 per month per extra line, so I can run as many different businesses through this app as I want to run, and it all goes to the same phone, same device. It is going through data, and that's why I needed an iPhone as opposed to an Android for what I'm doing with it. Just because you cannot afford to be missing calls because it can't override a cellular call with a data call. But that is the business phone system I recommend. I'm actually a licensed partner agent with Vonage to set people up with Vonage. So not only do I recommend it, I have used it personally to, and I'm still growing, but an empire is like a diverse group of things brought together as one. Well, I've got a diverse group of businesses brought together as one. I run them all off one device through, as far as phones wise, one app, which is less than my cell phone payment a month is what I pay for Vonage. Now I do pay a little bit extra now for phone recording. It records all my calls, but you can get it without that if you're not interested in that. And it is less than my unlimited data plan for my phone on a monthly basis. And I can run as many, and you can add as many lines to that as you want. So you can have 10, 20 businesses running off one cell phone, one VoIP app, and it's really given me the efficiency to operate multiple businesses. And this is just one thing I had to learn along the way, though. I needed an iPhone to do this, to follow this type of business model, just so I'm not missing calls, because it could be that one call that's your $1 million call. It might just be the call that month that pays for it, and I promise you, every single month, I've gotten extra phone calls that I would have missed that ended up as closed deals that have paid for this many times over. So that's why I switched from an Android, which I'd used for years and was very accustomed to, and really did not want to switch until I found this out. And I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, all I have to do is switch to an iPhone, and I'm not going to miss any more data calls, which are where all my business calls come from. Yeah, that's it didn't take me long to get over my love of Androids to say, yep, that's a no-brainer. I got to switch to iPhone. And so what you decide to do, I don't know, but I would suggest exploring if you're new to maybe you're looking at, how you want to set up your business's phone systems. There are some really powerful options you can get with VoIP systems that I have not been able to find anywhere else. And I tested, before I settled on Vonage Business for my business, I tested a number of different VoIP systems. And in fact, I've worked in technology for quite a long time. I used to work for another technology company, and I've seen tons of different VoIP systems, which stands for voice over IP if you're not familiar, which basically is phone calls through data rather than hard lines or cellular data or cellular signal. But anyway, yeah, VoIP gives you a lot of power, and if you really want to harness that power in the way I'm doing it, gotta have an iPhone. Android won't cut it. So there it is. Have a great day.